Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, hi, my name is Kaylin and I post videos mainly about eating disorder recovery and intuitive eating. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would love for you to click onto that subscribe button down below and become part of our little family. But for today's video, we are going to be doing a part 2 to debunking diet myths. And I also received DMs over on Instagram about certain myths that people wanted to debunk. So I think that this is always a fun video. I always get pretty riled up because these myths are not only things that I used to believe, but things that are so incredibly damaging to believe. These myths have hurt so many people, have been fuel to a disordered eating fire. And so I'm just glad that I have a platform to be able to speak on these myths in any way, shape, or form, and potentially help somebody else who is out there. It's important for us to remember that diet culture myths are kind of founded in this idea that everybody is the same, that every single body has the same genetic blueprint, that they should look the same. But most of the time we're chasing a body that was never meant to be ours in the first place. Diet culture myths are also founded on notions of self-criticism, restriction, isolation, the patriarchy, and racism. So what this series on my channel essentially tries to do is peel back that curtain and see what's actually behind this myth, to look at the science, to look at the studies, to look at the consequences, and to try to find the real motivation behind these myths in the first place. As a little refresher from my first video, diet myths are dieting advice from popular gurus, influencers, celebrities, media, coaches, and sometimes even physicians. Yes, medical physicians, people who went to school, can also participate in spreading these myths. And there are a lot of companies that gain from these myths, particularly financial gain when we're thinking about all of the apps, all of the supplements, all of the books that are out there. As we spoke about in part 1, it can also bring a false sense of superiority. And these diet myths also tend to further marginalize fat bodies. Anyway, let's get into the myths. And the first myth that we are going to be talking about today is the apple cider vinegar diet. Yeah, doesn't that sound disgusting? If anybody else has ever shot apple cider vinegar before, guilty. It's disgusting. It's really, really horrible. It burns your throat, and even if you dilute it with things like people say to do, it's still nasty. It's still disgusting. Anyway, the whole thing about the apple cider vinegar diet, or just the use of apple cider vinegar in general, is like this widespread belief that if you have apple cider vinegar before as well as after a meal, or one or the other depending on your source, and if you do this every single day, then it's meant to guarantee weight loss as well as be used as an appetite suppressant. And in a 2009 trial, there were 179 people who participated in this study who drank 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar every single day. And it actually was reported that this group of people did see like moderate weight loss, around like 2 to 4 pounds or so. However, when we're talking about apple cider vinegar from like a weight suppressant standpoint, however, the reason that people were feeling quite full after their meals was actually because of nausea, and the nausea that the apple cider vinegar was creating. And I don't know if you've felt nauseous before. I'm going to assume you have, but what a horrible feeling that like I wouldn't even wish on my worst enemy. Being nauseous is absolutely the worst thing in the entire world, and I would never put myself in that position where I would force myself to feel nauseous. Because you hear that? Yes, it sounds crazy, it sounds disordered, because it is disordered. And when we're talking about the risks of using apple cider vinegar, especially shooting it on a daily basis like so many people do, it is very highly acidic, and it can actually damage the enamel in your teeth. And even if you're not sipping it, the fact that you are having it every single day, even if it's diluted, can still damage your enamel. And it's also been known to cause or worsen low potassium levels. And so listen, if we're starting to shoot back this apple cider vinegar, 1, it's disgusting. 2, it can cause problems with your potassium. 3, it can cause problem with your teeth. 4, it's gonna make you most likely nauseous. And 5, for what? 2 to 4 pounds? If that. Sounds a bit crazy to me. The next diet myth that I want us to talk about is not to eat past 8 p.m., which is something that I fell victim to for many years of my life. And God, I wish that I could go back. I wish I could. But if you are somebody who follows these timed rules, whether it's 7 p.m., 8 p.m., I don't care, whatever it is, listen up because we've got to talk. In a paper published in the British Journal of Nutrition, researchers at King's College London examined the eating habits of around 1,600, give or take a few, children using data from the UK's National Diet and Nutrition. And out of 1,600 children, they saw no significant link between eating after 8 p.m. and weight gain with these children. And these findings actually support similar studies that are done on adults, which, contrary to popular belief, also show that there is not a significant link between eating later in the evening and gaining weight. And so while it's true that it does not cause weight gain, it's also true that it would not matter even if it did. We never want to make decisions based off of what we eat because of what diet culture says. And you know why? Diet culture changes its damn mind every single day. And you know why it changes its mind every single day? Because these things are not real. Because they want you to be running around like a chicken with your head cut off to the next diet, and then the next diet, and then the next diet. They want you to continue to spend money. They want you to continuously hate yourself and try the next new thing that you hope is going to make you feel better about yourself or to lose weight. If you are hungry, the only response to hunger is to eat, period. Intuitively eating means that sometimes you're going to want a midnight snack. And there's nothing wrong with that ever. And yes, letting yourself digest your food before going to bed can definitely help with things like heartburn or indigestion, but if we're being completely honest, 30 minutes is enough time for your body to begin digesting and feeling okay. You do not need 4 or 5 hours before you're going to sleep. Our lives should not be on these very strict schedules because life is unpredictable and we are adaptable creatures, and your body knows what to do with food no matter what time it is. The next diet myth that we're going to be talking about is that diets are a great way to learn self-control. Yeah, let's just talk about this one because this one gets me mad, it gets me angry. And the thing that makes me probably most angry is that there's so much science, yes, you hear that, science, that shows that dieting puts your body through immense stress. Mental stress, physical stress, emotional stress, you name it, you're probably going to experience that kind of stress. And you want to know what the worst thing for your body is? Stress. And if you're fighting your body against its natural weight and where it feels most comfortable, you're most likely going to damage your body, damage your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health. Those things are likely compared to learning self-control. When we restrict, the likelihood of us binging is extremely high, as well as like a whole laundry list of other negative effects that I've spoken about in so many of my videos. And we have to remember that dieting and diets are one of the gateways to disordered eating. And so where you think you have more control, you actually have a lot less control over your life, because now we have food rules and fear foods and situations that make us uncomfortable and situations that we try to avoid for certain reasons. And that does not sound like control. Having control is having choice, and not having either of those options be worse or bad or naughty or whatever it might be. And if you do not have choice, then you do not have control. Without treatment, up to 20% of all eating disorder cases lead to death. Does not sound like self-control to me. Control really comes in the form of intuitive eating. It really comes in the connection that you have with your body and the ability to listen to it instead of the ability to listen to your mind. Control means listening to yourself and not other people or what diet culture chooses to spew that day. Your body loves you, and it's your turn to give it a little bit of love back. The next myth that we're going to talk about, which I think most people are aware of at this point, is that slimming teas or diet pills are safe and effective for weight loss. What these teas are just laxatives in pretty packaging. Nobody can convince me otherwise. That is exactly what they are. They make you shit yourself. You pay to shit your pants. A lot of these teas also claim to like support your metabolism, which just sounds ridiculous when we hear it. And we also hear the word detox a lot of the time, or tea-tox as we see on some of these ridiculous websites. But like, detoxify us of what exactly? This whole idea of detoxing our body, of boosting our metabolism, is kind of like this fear-mongering technique that makes us feel like there's something wrong with our body, that our metabolism is not strong enough, that we have toxins running throughout our body that need to be eliminated through some kind of tea that you drink, because that's how that works. Fit teas, boy, do they have a laundry list of negative effects. I'm gonna read some of the negative effects here, okay? So it can cause painful bloating, anxiety, irritability, insomnia, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, headache. Why are we paying for this? The only thing that detoxifies your body are your organs. Your body is smart, and it does not need the aid of these super teas, superfoods, laxatives in order to do its job. A lot of dieting pills are also no longer on the market. And the reason why is because they are dangerous and because they are not safe. However, there still are different types of dieting pills. And a lot of these pills have increased patients' heart rates, because a lot of these pills rely on your body to sort of be overstimulated. So your heart is beating really fast and working really hard to the point where, quote unquote, excess fat can be sweat out of your system. This is so dangerous, not sustainable, not healthy, not safe. And in the same vein, Fit teas, who again talk about detoxifying the body like we just mentioned, are not regulated. Neither are these diet pills. These are not safe. They are not regulated. And I was talking about some pills that were recalled. Let me give you some examples. And this is a reminder that hundreds of diet pills have been recalled, but we're just gonna talk about two. The first one is called Meridia, and I might be pronouncing that incorrectly, but it was an appetite suppressant. And it could cause a lot of harm to the cardiovascular system and was also shown to cause strokes. Cases of death were reported. The second diet pill that we'll be talking about is Fen-Phen, and the FDA actually banned this drug in 1997 after linking it to valvular heart disease, pulmonary hypertension, and increased pulmonary artery pressure. Losing weight is not worth dying over. Weight loss is not worth not living your life. Weight loss is not worth putting things off because you can only do them when you are thin or when you are skinnier. Weight loss does not actually fulfill all of these false promises. It doesn't make you happier. A lot of the time, it does not make us healthier. It does not make you more productive or have more friends or make you more approachable. Anyway, I can keep rambling, but let's go into the second to last myth, that exercise should be painful and punishing. We hear that saying all the time, no pain, no gain. And that mentality, again, is something that I have fallen victim to in the past. And it's caused me to spend hours in a gym, harming my body, hurting my mind, not feeling comfortable, and falling into this mentality that we have to force ourselves to exercise, even if it's painful, even if it hurts, even if you're tired. And you know what that does? It damages your relationship with movement and exercise. That is the only thing that it does. Walking is a valid form of exercise. You don't have to push yourself to run. You don't have to push yourself in any other way to experience a fulfilling workout or joyful movement, period. Good pain, and we're talking about pain. I'm not talking about tension. We're talking about pain, doesn't exist when we are talking about movement. There is no good pain. A lot of people also think that they've only had a good workout if their body is aching and super sore the next day. However, that's usually just a result of mild inflammation or micro tears in your muscles or tendons. Excessive exercise can also build up lactic acid in your muscles. This can cause muscle fatigue and also serious damage to your tissue. Exercise should not ever feel like a punishment. If anything, it should feel like a reward, like something that you are doing because it feels great. Like celebrating what your body can do. It should be rewarding and it should never be punishment. If we're trying to change our mindset, changing our goals can also be very helpful. For example, I want to move to feel stronger instead of I want to move to feel thinner or to get thinner. I want to go on a walk to explore the beautiful neighborhood. I get to spend time with my dogs outside. That's a privilege, and that's something that is super rewarding to me and never feels like a punishment. This swim is going to feel great for the tension in my back. You hear how all of these thoughts, all of these motivators have nothing to do with thinness. That's what movement should always be. You should never be prioritizing thinness or weight loss, because chances are you're not going to be participating in movement for the right reasons, which then is not going to make it sustainable, which then is probably going to harm you more in the long run. There are so many ways that we can move our body in a joyful way. If you have an unhealthy approach and mentality to exercise, exercise is then unhealthy for you. And you have to remind yourself of that. I do have a video on joyful movement, so I'm going to link that down below in case anybody wants to watch that as well. The last myth that we're going to be talking about today is that skipping meals helps keep the weight off. So we see this with intermittent fasting, we see this with just skipping meals and restrictive behaviors in general. But what this actually does is set your body into crisis mode. When your body is starved of food, it enters a state of ketosis. And ketosis is basically what like the keto diet is based all around. And what this is depriving yourself so much of the vital nutrients that your body needs that you are in a constant state of ketosis. That's what keto is anyway. Or that's what ketosis honestly is in general, is just not getting the nutrients that your body so desperately needs. In ketosis, your body does start burning fat to feed itself. Your body is eating itself. And most people experience the following symptoms as well, which I will read here. Insomnia, irritability, debilitating headaches, vaginal odor, mood swings, hair loss, loss of muscle mass, constipation, shakiness, sluggishness, and others. Starvation and skipping meals is not going to make you lose weight. In fact, it's probably going to increase your likelihood of binge eating, because what happens is when we have access to food and when your body is scared that it's not going to have access again soon, it's going to binge, because in your body's mind, food is scarce. And it's a primitive primal reaction to binge after a period of restriction. Skipping meals can also result in a loss of your hunger cues and just the connection that you have with your hunger and fullness levels as well. And it's also important to remind ourselves that your body has a built-in system to help you with hunger and fullness. You don't have to go on a diet. You don't have to start skipping meals. But leptin is the hormone that's responsible for lowering our hunger levels when our body has had enough. And ghrelin is the hunger hormone that lets you know when you're hungry and that you need food and need to eat. Those hormones, which are incredibly important for our hunger and fullness, can be totally thrown off when we skip meals or participate in any of the diet culture myths that I spoke about today. When you don't listen to your hormones, your body understands that you don't listen. Your body is so smart, and it's equipped to handle food. No matter the time, no matter the frequency, no matter the craving, your body is smart. Repeat that again and again and again until you finally believe it. To sort of just come to a conclusion, I want to remind you that your body is your friend, not your enemy, not something that you have to fight against. You've probably fought against your body for a very long period of time, but what happens if you actually work with it? Have you tried? And really truly tried? Weight loss is a goal that gets in the way of the progress that you can make with your body and in your life. An example of a really achievable goal is wanting to feel strong or wanting to be very connected with your hunger and fullness levels. And that cannot happen if your goal is just to chase after a body that is not your own. Eat whatever you want. Eat what your body craves. Don't drink apple cider vinegar every day. Please. Your poor teeth. Listen to your hunger cues and don't skip meals. Don't buy diet pills, and understand that movement should be joyful. If you like videos like this, make sure to give me a thumbs up and leave me a kind comment down below. These videos are always fun to film. If you have any video requests for the month of December, you can also leave those down below, and I really hope to see you in my next video. Make sure to do something kind for yourself today. Bye, friends.